Welcome to 6.2, where we're going to talk about rates and unit pricing. The big question, basically, what is a rate? Well, a rate is when we take a ratio and we do the division completely such that we have a single number instead of a fraction. We have a single value. Can be a decimal, could even be a mixed number potentially, but a single value that expresses the ratio as a rate of units. And we'll see here a great example is in speed, miles per hour, or gas mileage, miles per gallon. So let's have a look here. How many miles can you travel on a certain number of gallons? So let's say you put in 90 miles and 5 gallons. Well, you wouldn't want to go around saying, my gas mileage is, it's 90 miles per 5 gallons. You want to say how much it is per 1 gallon. You want to do the division, get a 1 as your denominator, and then that'll be absorbed in the expression of the units, right? Because it's per unit. So let's go ahead and do this division. So 90 divided by 5 goes into 9 once, and it goes into 48 times with no remainder, so 18. So 18 miles per 1 gallon. And so then instead of keeping it like this, what I'll do is I'll just write 18 miles per gallon. And that's how I hear it said. And what that means is it's 18 miles per 1 gallon. And I don't have to write the per 1 or say the per 1, and it's implied. So hopefully that makes sense. You could easily do this for your car, right? And the number may not come out nice and evenly. It may come out as a decimal, but once you do that division, you can round your decimal to whatever you think is appropriate. Probably to the nearest whole number is fine. And that would be your miles per gallon. Another great application is looking at the different values that you could find at the grocery store. For instance, milk is going to come in different sizes, and you're going to be charged different prices for that. So what we can do is we can convert all of these to rates of the same units, and that will give us a sense of, what's actually a good value here. Now, the trouble is that, we've got 1 gallon. So, we know that, for the 1 gallon container, it's $3.59 per 1 gallon. So that's one option. That's option number 1 here, right? Option number 2 is $1.99 for half that much. We already can kind of get a sense that that's probably not as good a deal, because $1.99 is pretty close to 2. 2 doubled, right? To get a whole gallon would be 4. So I can already see the 1 gallon price is pretty decent. And then a quart is a quarter of a gallon, right? That's where the name comes from. And so then it's half of a half gallon. So then if the pricing is consistent, we'd expect it to be around $1, but it's not. It's $1.29. And that's for a quarter gallon. there's options 2 and 3. Now the trouble is, it's still kind of hard to compare these exactly. So what we need to do is we need to do the division, and once we do that division, we'll have it per 1 gallon. So this is going to be, this one's easy for us. This is 359 per 1 gallon, because 359 divided by 1 is 359. Now over here, 199 divided by a half. What is 199 divided by a half? Well, remember that 199 divided by 1/2 would be the same as 199 times 2 over 1, which is the same as 199 times just 2. So that's one way to do it. So 398. So that's 398 per 1 gallon. And over here, 129, extending this logic, I could multiply it by 4. Since I'm dividing by a fourth, that's the same as multiplying by 4. And that is, let's see, I can't do that in my head. So that's 36. So 11, 5, so 5.16. So $5.16 per 1 gallon. So you can see here how the best deal is to buy a whole gallon, but not far behind is a half gallon, but quite far off the mark is a quarter gallon. So you really pay the price for, asking them to package it in a smaller container. So which one's the best value? Well, this is the best value, unless, of course, you are carrying your groceries home, in which case you may want a smaller one, right? And so it just depends on the context. But as far as what's cheaper, the math can help you do that pretty clearly and objectively. All right, so let's recap here. What is a rate? A rate is a ratio right? It's a special kind of ratio, a ratio that has been divided so that the second unit, or the second number, in this case it's the denominator, because we're writing these ratios as fractions, right? That the denominator is 1, right? So we're doing the division. When is a rate written in simplest terms? Well, actually see this part right here. When the denominator is 1, then the rate is written in simplest terms. C, what is unit pricing? Unit pricing is where you compare the cost per unit of an item to see what is the best value. And then D, give some examples of rates not found in your book. Well, of course, there's the miles per hour, which is really miles per hour, right? When it's written out long form. That's one rate. Another rate could be how about the rate at which you climb a mountain? Let's say the mountain is 1,000 feet tall, and you climb it in, what do we think, 2 hours? Seems reasonable. So you go up the whole 1,000 feet in 2 hours, So what was your rate? We need to do the division. 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. So that's 500 feet per hour was my average. So there's an example of a rate. I'm sure you can think of a few more. How about your hourly rate at work? Money per hour. There's another example of rate. So there's just some few examples to get you started on 6.2, and we'll see you in 6.3.